Now, what's your assessment of the elections in Balyesa and Kogi State?
Well, my assessment is a bit of good and bad. Good in the sense that there was too much hype before the elections in Kogi and Balyesa, and going by that, one was expecting a large-scale violence that probably the elections may not hold. So good enough, yeah, of course, there was violence, but not as one expected, given the run-up to the elections.
So some persons lost their lives in the process.
Bad in the sense that one expected that we have moved a bit further up in our electoral process. Move a bit further up in the sense that we expect that people should be able to, should be allowed to cast their votes the way their conscience dictates to them. People should be able to do that in an environment that is free of violence, free of rancor, that even if you and I are going to vote for different parties, we should still be able to shake hands. Because at the end of the day, the person that emerged is going to govern over all of us, not over a section of the state. So, but we didn't have that. And of course, we expected that we won't have that because of what we saw before the election. It's unfortunate that we started this democratic journey in 1999. And 20 years down the line, we are somehow even back from where we started, rather than moving forward. In 1999, given that it was the ministry that conducted the election, there wasn't so much violence as at that time. And one expected that if you are aspiring to lead your people, you should be their friend, they should be your friend. And you should be able to meet under an environment that is friendly.
Let's go to Balyesa State, for instance. You know, a lot of people had already been predicting that they know where the votes would tilt to, because you have this power of incumbency factor playing out in most of the elections when you see previous elections in the country. But interestingly, in Balyesa State, you could see the margin between David Leon and the PDP candidate in the state. It's a wide margin, as the case may be. What is this telling us about future elections in the country? What has happened in Balyesa State?
And I think we should begin to de-emphasize the issue of incumbency. Incumbency should work where you are performed, where people have seen that you are truly their servant, and they can be rest assured that if you are given another mandate, you will still be where you were before coming out again. So democracy is about you making a choice. Making a choice based on your conviction. So if by adventure the party in power failed to meet the expectation of the people, you should expect that it should go.
So in Balyesa State, are you suggesting that Governor Seriake Dixon did not perform up to expectation?
Actually, we've not. That's why I said bad, because we've not begun to base our choice on performance or non-performance. We are still being influenced for now by certain extraneous factors that are outside performance, that are outside good governance. Look at the way we begin to get it right by the time we begin to have internal party democracy, when candidates are emerging from their parties based on established tenets, democratic tenets, not on influence, not on who is your godfather, not on how much you have in your tilt.
So you believe that the emergence of Doyediri, a senator here, is one of the factors that affected the fortunes of the PDP in Balyesa State?
There are several factors. You know, people say, though former President Jonathan has denied that he worked against his party. So there are factors.
But the Jonathan you know, could he have done that?
Well, we are human beings. And don't forget that former President Olusegun Obasanjo worked against his PDP, his party, at a point in time. So that's why I said we are here to begin to look at issues. What we are considering is personality. It doesn't listen to me. It doesn't give deference to me. You know, it's not going the way we want him to go. We are not saying it's not performing according to the expectation of the people because it's representing our party.
So people still lose the election today even when they have performed and given good governance?
Yes, of course. Because that's why I said that we've not begin to look at issues. When we go out to vote, why are we voting? We've not begin to do that. Until we do that, it's not only in Kogi, it's not only in Balyesa. It has to do with the totality of our elections. Okay? Now, the picture we are being given is that the other party is the victim. No, the other party is not the victim. We, the people, are the victims. Because we are not being given good governance. So whether someone decides to perform or decide not to perform, it does not guarantee that.
But do you think it's time yet for APC to go to bed in Balyesa State, looking at the fact that even the tickets being swung up by David Leon in winning these elections itself is being contested by another candidate within the political party itself? Do you think it's hurry yet for the political party in terms of the winning thing that they got at the end of the day?
Actually, I'm not bothered whether APC has a candidate or it doesn't have. I'm not bothered. In the sense that I have not seen any difference between all the political parties that we have.
But what does this signal when these parties, when these two figures are already fighting for a particular ticket, which David Leon actually got an injunction to contest this election, which he has now won? What will happen, looking at the fact that there have been precedents like that of Rotimi Amechi, who had gone to court to say that I was the rightful candidate for that election, but somehow the party should change me, and of course the Supreme Court outrightly installed him as the rightful governor of Rivers State as at then. Did you see something of this nature happening again with David Leon's win?
Well, if it happens, how does that affect the people of Balyesa State? That's the question we'll be asking. If it happens, if another person comes, does it change the narrative? Does it?
But who did the people vote for? Is it not supposed to count here?
What we have now for now, and that was what happened in Rivers State that you mentioned. What we have for now is that there must be a party. The party must have a candidate. It does not specify which candidate. Okay? And that was what happened in Rivers. Otherwise, Amechi did not participate in the election. But the law says it is the political party that people... We don't have independent candidates. So there must be a party. So you go to election...
So it's not a personality they are voting for. It's a political party they are voting for.
That's what the law recognizes.
Is it supposed to be so?
Until you change your law, it will be. Because that's what the law says. Whatever the law says, you follow. The law says you must fly on the ticket of a certain political party. So if the process that throws you up is faulty, the law...
So which is the best? The law as it is presently, or one that should be changed?
Actually, what should be the best is that we, the people, should begin to educate ourselves and then begin to take the lead. Okay?
Doctor, is it about education? Because one question that comes to mind, even after 2019 election, is what actually is it that the people vote for? Is it that Nigerians are not properly educated? INEC will always be everywhere before the election. National Orientation Agency, there was a time the organization was accused of indolence. It swung into action before the 2019 election. You know, it sensitized people. Now, even the media has not been, dormant. In spite of all of this, you still see people, being parading themselves in such a way that will leave one in doubt as to whether there is sound electoral political education.
Well, you cannot rule out the issue of poverty, which have theorized into two. And that's poverty of the intellect and poverty of the pocket.
Poverty of the intellect and poverty of the pocket. Okay, so let's look at both.
Now, poverty of the pocket is that where you are not sure where your next meal is going to come from. And then you are not making effort to make sure that you get your meal. And you are looking up to someone to do that for you. And whatever he offers you, you take. Now, poverty of the intellect is that one that drives you to the point that even when you are afraid. Okay, and then you begin to make efforts ceaselessly without knowing where to stop. And that's why people will get to public office and steal money.
No, because they do not have.
No, it's not because they don't have. It's because they are poor mentally. He's afraid that when he leaves office, what's he going to live on? He's not sure whether he's going to survive the next day after the office.
Is it not just being truthful to himself or herself? The reality on ground, is it only for the political class? Even the civil servant will consider his life, after retirement and all that. So are they really afraid of the unknown, or they are afraid of the known?
The problem that we have is self-inflicted, in the sense that, now you mentioned the civil servant. You are in office. You know that you are employed. If you don't die along the line, if you don't quit your job, if you are not sacked, you spend 35 years. Or if you peradventure by your age, when you clock 60, you leave. Now, by the time it is now 10 years for you to leave the service, you should begin to think of what you are going to do after the service.
Let's look at the breakdown of what the vote looks like from Balyesa State. And of course, we have total number of votes from Balyesa, APC 352,557, and of course you have the PDP 143,172. And of course, if you look at this margin, it appears to be very wide, coming from different local governments here. This one is Southern Ijo LGA, we have 124,000, and the PDP having just 4,000. If you look at these margins coming from each local government area itself, because there was a complaint by an opposition party agent while INEC was being briefed about the development so far after the announcement at a point in time. Hani indeed made mention of something very critical. He said in his local government he had voted for his party, but when INEC reeled out the total votes, the returning officer brought in, and of course they announced, he was shocked that 0 was recorded for his party, even though he had evidence of actually voting for his party in the elections. When you look at some of these votes coming from these LGAs in Balyesa State, from what we're seeing from the opposition itself, is this healthy? What do you see in the nearest time when these elections would have finished? Do you see more litigations coming to court? What will happen at the end of the day?
Actually, I pity our judiciary in this country.
Do you pity them? Are they doing their responsibilities well?
No. I pity them in the sense that we are saddling them with things that are unnecessary. Unnecessary in the sense that if you had a truly primary election in each of the political parties, there will be lesser violence during the election. Okay? And after the election, there will be lesser litigation. But
if you have the rightful candidates,
yes.
How does that work?
The way
now the people that talked to INEC, while INEC was briefing, and of course they had an interaction, most of them, especially this opposition party agent who actually voted for his party board, his vote did not reflect. He said he feels sorry for those who conducted the elections. Obviously, he is saying something very critical, that the electoral umpire has not lived up to mandate here. That is questionable. Now, if you begin to blame the political party for not producing, or possibly the kind of candidate they produce is a problem, how does that work? When you have an umpire who is supposed to conduct. Okay.
When you get your party ticket through fraudulent means, you continue from there. And that's why, I don't blame one party. I blame all the political parties. All of them are involved in this fraud.
We have 91 political parties now.
No, when we say political, we are
including the APC,
we are not talking
which is ruling at the center.
Are not even anywhere to be found. You understand?
So you're talking of the major
political parties. Because you won't see someone leaving APC to go to one obscure party, unless of course it has a reason for doing that. You won't see someone leaving PDP. You see that goes to APC. You won't go to any unknown political party. You understand? So I blame the major political parties. All of them are involved. I don't exonerate any of them.
So you
it's
think,
just because the table changes. That's what it makes the narrative to change.
You think because parties are not getting their primaries right,
yes,
that is the reason why we have violent elections in this country. Now, you said something which is very, very sacrosanct. You expressed, worry, and you did say you sympathize with Nigerian judiciary. Now, is that the reason why? Because over time, politicians are complaining that when you take electoral matters to the courts, petition tribunal, they leave the substantive case. They don't talk of the figures. Take, for instance, this man that has his votes, not reflecting in INEC's, figure and all that. The court, the judiciary now leaves the substantive matter. They talk of, technicality. And it's becoming a source of worry. Is that the reason why the judiciary is working that way? Because you have established the fact that we are burdening the judiciary, the political class are burdening the judiciary with unnecessary things. Is that the reason why?
Well, you see that lawyers, they have their way, okay, in making things work. When you brief your counsel, what is looking for, because this is why you are briefing for you to win the matter. What is looking for will be things that will make you to win. Okay, and if he's able to lay his case before the judge, he's able to convince. You see, at the end of the judge will say, with evidence before me. So that's what the two of you conversed. Okay, so you can move. If you are so good, you can
shift the attention.
You can shift.
So the judges should not be blamed. So next time people talk about this, the lawyers should be blamed.
It's a totality. Remember that we've had cases of judges being compromised. They are human beings too. He went to school, he went to law school. He's a mate to someone who is a lawyer. He has a case. They find a meeting point. The problem we have and that's why I mentioned the issue of poverty of the intellect. We are all afraid of tomorrow. That's a problem.
And it's
a systemic problem. Systemic problem in the sense that if you are a civil servant and you are leaving to work by either age or whatever, you are retiring, and it is assured that the day you leave, you get your severance package.
Let's go back. Let's actually go to Kogi State, because it appears we've been talking about Balyesa State. In Kogi, obviously, there was abduction of some INEC officials, but now released. If you look at the extent of violence coming from Kogi State, inconclusive election, but hopefully it will continue by 9 a.m. this morning. Is this healthy for us? What are we going to be seeing in Kogi? Obviously, we saw an Erufai begging to have a vote being canvassed for Yahya Bello. If you look at the terrain of the state, what are we likely to see at the end of the day?
I think we should even move beyond Kogi State. It's only because the Kogi is in the high of the storm now. That's why we're discussing Kogi. We should begin to look at where we'll be in the next election
as a country. That's in 2023.
Yes, 2023. Where we'll be as a country in 2023.
But doctor, we've been complaining about all of these.
Yeah.
This is not the first time. After the 1999 election, I could remember the 2003 election. Nigerians, raised some concerns. Again in 2007. Now let's even look at the role of our security. It's been alleged that perhaps they were deployed to go and monitor violence because they actually did not rescue the ones that were intimidated or as we wrap up the segment.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's true. You are right. The whole system is compromised. Because what we have is a winner takes it all environment. And that's why everybody will go all out to see that he wins. I know that if whatever means that he wins, nothing is going to happen thereafter. Okay, you are going to have cases before tribunal, and then you waste time. The man gets to office, is able to access state funds to prosecute his election. Okay, ordinarily, I will expect a scenario whereby whatever the game that we have after election should be concluded before you are sworn.
What are some of your parting shots? Because we have to go, sir.
We still have to begin to emphasize it, and we should begin to change the narrative. We should not allow politicians to dictate the tune of discussion to us. We, the people, should take the lead, and that's why we begin to take them up and then make them to perform exactly the way we want.
I must say a big thank you to you, Dr. Bayo Brusari of the Department of Mass Communication, Leeds City University. We've been assessing the just concluded Balyesa and the ongoing Kogi election. INEC is here to tell us who the winner is in Kogi State. But of course, trust us, we will bring you details as events unfold. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
We take a breather now. The program AM Cafe continues.
When you saw the win coming from Balyesa State, what was the impression you had? from the out of that polls itself?
Well, from the beginning, we knew there are some irregularities.
What kind of irregularities here?
Well, the violence that took place before the election, the hate speech, and many other things that could actually threaten the peaceful, a peaceful election in the country. We have seen in the pre-election observation, because in WTV, watching the vote, we have what we call the pre-election observation and the election observation itself and the post-election observation. We discover a lot of irregularities.
So you are saying, as a matter of fact, that this election isn't free and fair that produced
well,
David Leon?
It is not free and fair. Well, election...
what are some of the things that you saw?
What I discover, I don't want us to use the word free and fair, because no election will actually be free and fair. The election can be free, but it may not be fair. An election can be fair, but it may not be free.
So you are saying that there are hitches. Let's use the word hitches.
There are hitches, but we are now talking about what we have to also look at is that we have to look beyond the free and fair right now. And we have to look at some of the irregularities that took place deliberately.
Now, okay, Mr. Guiga, let's look at this. Yaga Africa, an organization that you coordinate for in Oyo State, is calling for the cancellation of elections. That sounds, outrageous. It sounds so, incomprehensible.
Don't forget, it is not about the Balyesa election. It is about Kogi's election. Balyesa election was verifiable according to the parallel voter tabulation that Yaga Africa uses to measure or to observe election. It was verifiable. But
verifiable in what sense?
Yaga uses stratification.
Okay.
Yes, we use stratification, the PVT. We have sample polling units all over the local government. And after the voting, we collate and we try as much as possible to come up with something.
How credible is your data?
Yeah, very, very credible. It has been used in many countries, and it was used for the 2019 presidential election. It was very credible.
And our stakeholders agree to the fact that your data is...
Get very well. They agreed. We also it has been tested, and it was used and a sample in many, even in Oyo State, in all the elections that have been done in the past. But in Kogi election was not verifiable.
Kogi collation is to start by 9 a.m.
It's not in fact.
So a winner has not been declared. But let's talk about things that you observed. Let's start with, the performance of the Nigerian police, the Navy, the military, the army, and other agencies, NSCDC.
Well, the problem we have right now in Nigeria is that many security agencies are compromised. The government, the party in power, many are have the allegiance to the party in power.
Now this is an allegation that, can you back it up?
Well, you can see what happened to the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, when some people in police uniform could enter. Of course, he has his own police, he has his own, security aids, still under the federal government, but yet, these people might have followed him down from Oyo State.
The Kogi State Police Command has come out to explain what actually happened. You think it's not tenable?
That is Nigeria. The police command we explain. We want to paint. We don't want to give ourselves a good PR. We want to dress everything and tell you that, see, this thing is not tenable. It is not. We have not even verified this kind of thing. But okay, they were political talks. We can see the video. Actually, I'm in Ibadan. I was not able to, but with the reports I have read from Yaga Africa and from those who are on the field, we can definitely see that political talks are everywhere in Kogi State. Political talks.
But you indeed said something. You said elections in Kogi State are not verifiable. Why did you say that?
Well, most of the election, did not take place. Did not take place.
So where did INEC get those figures it is collecting?
Well, we don't know. We don't know where they got that result.
Yaga has never...
As of yesterday, about 30 INEC officials were abducted. We're missing.
Yaga Africa has never called for the cancellation of any election
before.
So this is unprecedented, meaning you must have seen one or two things. It was said that violence marred about 70% of the polling votes, and it's on that ground that you are calling for the cancellation.
Even from the beginning, there was irregularity. About 52 polling units started at the time allotted. There are some technicalities at the beginning of the election, and the post-election results, the post-election press release has indicated that this election will be marred with violence. because of many, I mean, grievous hate speech that are coming out from the parties involved. And they kind of do or die. This election has never taken us back to this level. I mean, as we have never been backward. I think we are 12 years backward. Because what's the essence? What's the essence of the electoral what's it called that we have been engaged in?
The amendment of the electoral act. But really, it has not been assented to the latest one.
I'm not talking about the latest one. What about the previous ones? What about the
last one we had?
Is it about laws now? Is it really about laws? You know, well, if you look at the process of elections in the country, is it about laws or the political interests? If you look at it, we indeed mentioned power of incumbency with the first guest, and he said that this we must disassociate our mind from it. But somehow it plays up in our politics. You see that power of incumbency, the central government wants to have effect on whatever elections it's holding in any region, in any unit of the economy itself. Let's go back to Ekiti and Osun State elections. We saw what happened under the PDP when Fayose became the governor of Ekiti State. Of course, Oyetola's election too was well contested. Until today, people talk about our elections. What do we now do to have a cleaner, saner elections in the country? Well, because you said it can't be fair. It can't be totally fair here.
Yes, it can't be totally fair. And it is not. We have that combination of free and fair election.
But rather than calling for
their level of differs, that you look at an election that to an extent that you know that no, the government in power, the incumbency, did not really put hand into this election to affect the citizen. There are many assassinations in Kogi yesterday. You can just discover the kind of athletes, athletes people we have who can actually kill just because you want to get into power by all means.
Rather than calling for the cancellation, can't Yaga, for instance, perhaps allow the courts to, weigh in at the end of the day?
Yeah, don't forget, Yaga is calling for the cancellation. It is not binding. Don't forget, many international observers are calling for the cancellation. It is not binding.
But yours appears to be, very hasty. If you look at EU observer missions, they are yet to come out. Though some of them have, attested to the fact that there were irregularities, but they have not come up with their report.
Well, maybe at the beginning, Yaga has not also come up with a report, with a comprehensive report about the election. Okay. But immediately there is what we call a reports, mid-election report, and with all indication, everybody, it is obvious that this election.
But did you put into consideration, did your organization put into consideration the cost for these elections? Because you know that logistics has gone into this. Let's not also forget that
we're looking at the economic cost to deny the people
let's look at also the economic value. You have said that there's no election in any part of the world that is totally free and fair. So there are instances of issues like what we saw in Kogi State. Let's look at the costs of hosting these elections in that state. Let's look at the economy that was grounded for these elections to take place. Are we now saying that there will be a total elections all over again? The economy will be grounded, there will be more logistics coming to INEC, and what is the possibility that people will be allowed to vote in an atmosphere of peace with the kind of hostility we have in Kogi State?
Kogi's election actually went beyond irregularity. If we look at it, this is an election that a lot of people have been scared not to come out to vote during election, and the few people that come out are threatened with guns.
Was there apathy?
Well, I don't know, but we may look at it and actually look at the turnout. The turnout in Balyesa was encouraging compared to what we have in
Kogi State,
because guns and a lot of things have been used to scare people even before the election. And now, if we not look at that kind of election, and 100,000 votes is coming out from a particular local government in that kind of election, and when you compare with the presidential election, you discover that even there are so many even in a particular local government where we have 20,000 accredited voters, at the end of the day we have about 34,000.
So when all of this happen, what do you think would be the likely?
Well, the work of the observer is just now is just to say it the way we observed it, not to take part in any partisan politics.
I understand, because it's becoming a common thing, that you have the number of total voters, the number of total votes you know, being more than the number of accredited voters. So when you have instances like these, what do you think could be the cause?
That's why we are talking about cancellation, because that means there wasn't an election. That means there was, I don't want to say there was rigging, well, there was rigging, but there wasn't an election at the first place.
So let's look at the role of, you know, violence marred the Kogi election, though it's still ongoing because the coalition is still ongoing. Let's look at what our security operatives, you know, they were deployed as at the time, was it 62,000 Nigerians raised an alarm?
They were deployed, and there was, Yaga Africa released a report yesterday that even 52% of the polling units, if you look at it, 52% were, there are a lot of irregularities in the arrival of the security.
So where were these security officials?
They were not there at the time they were supposed to be there. They were not there. They were looking for any official. They were not there. Many coppers were abducted to the government house. As at the time
for what reason?
Well, very known to the politicians.
Let's also look at the might of the police, the security on ground in Kogi State. Are we saying that we do not have enough personnel to actually tame the activities of some criminal elements and thugs? Let's see sporadic shots. You know, there are some also online newspaper that has actually said that there was sporadic gunshot in the air. People had to run. There was ballot box stuffing and snatching and the rest of it. If we look at how prepared the government has made us believe in terms of even the IGP saying that more police officers, more men have been deployed to ensure that, you know, there will be maximum security. And before the elections, we also have the DIG saying that anyone who actually snatches the ballot box will have to pay with his or her life. But all of this stress appears not to be holding any waters from what we saw after the elections were held. Of course, the elections are inconclusive. It will continue this morning. But from the strength that the security apparatus have boasted of having on ground, what is it that we had at the end of the day? Are we saying that these thugs overpowered them? They have more sophisticated weapons than them? Or the security operatives have been compromised? Because there are two things people are laying fingers to here.
Well, there are all indications that the security operatives were compromised.
What kind of indications are these?
Because how many people were arrested as a result of ballot box snatching?
So you felt they should have arrested quite a number of people?
Well, we should have arrested quite a number of people and show us that, okay, these are the way they persecute, the way they prosecute some people, and the way they tell, we do a kind of media prosecution or sorts in Nigeria.
Is it the duty of the police to actually do a kind of trial of this person? Because you're talking about prosecution now.
Yes.
Because over time, people have been canvassing for a electoral complaints commission where electoral offenders are taken to instantly, like a mobile court, and they have a decisive judgment. But that doesn't exist. Are you blaming the police now for all of this?
Well, do you know that the police has the right, or have the right to charge to court if there is public disturbances? There are laws that back up this, even apart from the electoral. There are laws that are on ground apart from the electoral offences, and now there are also electoral offences. How can somebody hold a gun, shoot a gun in a polling unit, and you know that this person is a private person?
So as we wrap up, because we need to wrap up this segment, are you still insisting that the election in Kogi State should be cancelled?
Yes, I'm insisting the election in Kogi State.
That is the stand of Yaga.
Yes, the stand.
So what are your parting shots?
Well, I would say it's just a pity that Nigeria election is going this way again. If we have to consider, if we look at the power belongs to the people, we need to know that the power belongs to people, and when we don't give people that power, it actually scatters.
We must say thank you so much to Boyega Tokumbo, and of course is a Yaga person here in your state, and he's also an election monitoring team, and he has actually observed the two elections in Kogi and Balyesa State. We must say thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for your time.
And of course, we hope that the elections come out well, especially for Kogi State, where elections are inconclusive by 9 a.m. this morning. We're hoping that it will continue, and at the end of the day, there will be light after the tunnel in Kogi State, and there won't be more violence. We have to go straight to our Lagos studio. They are standing by to keep us up to speed with what is happening in the national dailies. From here, I am Bolabo, Famous School.
And I'm Anuluakwo Homoride. Have a wonderful day.